What are we talking about here? Well, 2 days ago, Ludwig had an event that he called Berio Kart. Essentially, it was like a Mario Kart event, but like you drank beers when you were driving. It's like a drinking and driving event, but in Mario Kart. So first, huge trigger warning for like sexual harassment. For what I understand, multiple instances. Mario Kart sounds like a frat house activity because it kind of is a frat house activity. But they were drunk. They were doing drunk people stuff. And if you've ever been around frat boys, right, or into a frat house, what you're just going to see here is not a unique thing in the way that like drunk like men operate. Yeah, we'll start with this clip. This is the clip that got the most seen.
See, we're not drunk, guys. Yeah, we're not drunk. But Mang0 on the other hand. No. He's humping toes. No.
End the stream. End it.
End the stream, Mang0 says.
End the stream.
Why it's so visibly uncomfortable. That's heartbreaking, honestly. Here's an unseen clip making these female streamers uncomfortable.
What is, bro, Mang0, give Mang0 water. Look at this motherfucker.
I gave him the beer. Yeah, let him know, bro. Let him know.
Dude,
Can we zoom in on that?
Stan is the worst person.
No, I've seen Mang0 10 times drunker than this. That's right. That is true. Yeah, he hasn't. That is very true.
This isn't Pete.
No. This is like stage 2. Honestly, this is sober. He's not fighting anyone.
He's trying to fight me.
No, it's different. Yeah, well, that's fair.
He's trying to fight me.
Is all the clips stitched together? Okay. Bro, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds long.
Wait, should kids do drugs? Okay, all right.
See, we're not drunk, guys. Yeah, we're not drunk. But Mang0 on the other hand. No. He's humping toes. No.
End the stream. End it.
I haven't seen anything about this, but I'm showing this to you without really any commentary because I want to get to what the responses to this were. And because that's what I really want to talk about, right? This happening is not unique, right? And it's a shame to say so, but this is not a unique thing that's happened. But what I want to talk about specifically is how people reacted to this in the moment and after the fact, and why I think it's fucked up.
End the stream, Mang0 says.
Yeah, there is always that one guy, right? Again, if you've been to college, if you've been to frat parties, this happens. There's always one guy that does this, and this person can only exist, right? Because of, you know what? I'll save it. Well, let's finish the compilation first.
End the stream.
You're gonna give me a full shot? That's fine.
Is it like good? Like we have something or no?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. What are you
What
doing?
are you doing?
Quiet down. You trying to do thug round or no? Man.
Mang0's humping Emily.
I'm not.
That's okay. Okay, I'm ready to play.
Emily, get it. Emily, stop it.
Hi, Mang0.
What are you pulling her hair?
Mang0, you're so silly.
Don't beat her ass.
You guys are amazing. Who's that, Mang0?
Mang0, final words. Oh! Final words.
So this was a consistent. Also, apparently somebody said that he was also like humping on Ludwig as well. So it wasn't like exclusive to the female streamers, but like it's a pretty common thing that he was doing during this thing. Those are all the clips. So that's what happened. There's a few things that I want to say on this, right? I heard, again, I don't know this, but I heard this was a common thing with Mang0, which is getting too drunk to the point where like somebody, I think it was Stan said it, in this video here, right? And all the other guys were like, yeah, no, this is like normal Mang0 stuff, right? This is totally normal Mang0 stuff. So the fact that this behavior was something that they were aware of, and they still allowed him to come to an event where you get hammered, that's the point of the event. Up, number one. Number two, while being at the event, him humping on, essentially sexually assaulting numerous other female streamers, right? Multiple times, and nobody stepping in to be like, yo, cut that shit out. From what I saw. If you've watched this, right, and you saw somebody doing that, right, let me know. I will full on apologize to them. But like the fact that it was Ludwig's event and Ludwig didn't step in to be like, you're done, right? There are people who are serving the alcohol behind these tables. There are cameramen, there are production staff, there are people who keep the event going. The fact that none of them stepped in and pulled Mang0 away at some point is telling. And the fact that everybody was just kind of standing around letting him do this to be like, yeah, it's just Mang0 stuff. That's number two. And up number three is something that I saw after the event happened. I saw like this from people who were at the event. It was like Connor grabbed him and guided him away, but seemingly to give up when he kept going. During the compilation, the levels literally pushed Mang0 away from Emily. Doug did the same thing. Doug tried to guide him away, and Doug also gave up, right? Like you can tell right here. But you don't need to give up. There's no giving up here. Like sexual assault is happening in front of you. There's no, well, I did my best, you know. I said, man, don't do that. The pictures that were posted after the fact were just also kind of gross. I saw like 3 people post like pictures with Mang0, like being like, man, what a crazy night that was. Like after the event was over. And I'm like, what are we doing? I think most people didn't know what was going on. No, that. No shot. No shot. I don't know. See, you're doing the same shit that people are doing like in real life, right? To normalize and excuse this behavior. You can't say they did kick him eventually, but also most people had no idea what was going on in this tiny room where people were just all doing the same, like, you know, drinking and freaking playing Mario Kart. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's the overarching event and a few of the things that happened. I do want to see Ludwig's response. Yeah.
Is the bad Mang0? Yes. Yeah, 100%. 1000%. Yes. So if you guys don't know, there's a bunch of clips, and I'm not going to react to the clips because, I mean, frankly, they're uncomfortable to watch. But there's a bunch of clips yesterday of Mang0 going around humping people. And I know this because I saw them all this morning. And I also, I think, was getting humped a lot myself. Now, I'm going to say, I don't mind when Mang0 humps me because I know Mang0. It was super weird if you watched any of the clips when he was humping people he doesn't know very well. It was very weird. And yeah, I feel like menace is like a cutesy term that we use with Mang0. And it's like, nah, that's just harassment, bro. You can't be cutesy about it. And so like,
I'll give Ludwig a point here. By at least he did better than the people we saw in the clip. So I'll give him a point and at least calling it what it is, right? Again, low bar, but you know.
Look, man, if you guys ever listen to me,
after that unacceptable. Again, we'll see what the rest of his statement is, but for the beginning, I'll say, you know, first of all, you have to acknowledge. Doesn't mind being humped. Is that what he said? Yes. See, what I don't know if you try to understand is that men give a lot of leeway to other men, especially their friends, doing things that, I guess, people give a lot of leeway to the people that they know specifically doing things that they will not be comfortable with a stranger with their friend, right? Whether or not like Ludwig is actually comfortable with it or uncomfortable with it. Again, I'm not going to get into like trying to interrogate Ludwig's internal mindset about how he feels, right, about this, right? There is a take about people who are like men giving or expanding their boundaries more than what they will be comfortable with because they want to be seen as a part of the gang, the squad, fitting in, if you will. So there are situations where men are uncomfortable with things like being humped on or whatever. But they allow it and accept it because, you know, that's what it takes to fit in. Not saying that that's what happens here, but I'm saying that that is a thing that does happen. I think also too, it's obvious in one clip where when Ludwig wanted him to stop touching, he was like, "Hey man, I need my space," but none of the other people felt comfortable to do it. It sounded like, I mean, Maya was saying no, right? Like it's not even that like other people didn't feel comfortable stopping Mang0. Like this was like Maya not consenting. Maya said no.
We're not drunk, guys. Yeah, we're not drunk. But Mang0, on the other hand,
right? But it's just not taken seriously. And it's to the point, and it's not even that like other people didn't know what was going on, right? Like, I don't want to say I don't believe Ludwig when he said that he didn't know what was happening, because everybody knew it was happening, right? There were instances where like people, like Cutie was like, Mang0's humping on extra Emily, Mang0's humping on Emily. Nothing. Radio silence. People would watch them, like would watch him do it. Radio silence, nothing. Like, if you're in one room, even with 30 people, you can see everyone. There's extra space. Everyone knew after the second race that Mang0 became a problem. Yeah, and I think again, I'll continue with Ludwig's statement, but this is Ludwig's event.
And talk to them, but also, and I already told Mang0 this, I'm no longer inviting Mang0 to Mogul Moves events. Cause like,
overanalyze here, but look at
Ludwig, it's a privilege
from him. I don't know. I don't want to say this. This is not genuine from Ludwig, right? I haven't seen enough to make that distinction.
I already told Mang0 this. I'm no longer inviting Mang0 to Mogul Moves events. Cause like, it's a privilege to go to an event, man. Like the whole point of an event is like, it's a fun thing to do, have a good ass time. And if somebody appearing jeopardizes somebody else having a good time, that just can't be a thing. Now I see a lot of dialogue on like broader implications. I'm only worried about my team, my events, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't speak for the Melee community. I'm not like championing any other action. I'm just taking the action I can take, you know what I'm saying? And the action I can
like
Sugar 961 just
any other action. I'm just taking the action I can.
Like, what are we talking about here? Because Ludwig has events intertwined with the Melee community too. I think what he's saying here, that I don't necessarily disagree with, is that there are calls to like ban Mang0 from like Melee tournaments as a whole. But I think he's saying that he can't like make those calls for like the Melee tournament. I think that's fair, I guess.
Like, I don't want this to impact Master Baker. Like, I don't want to be at Master Baker and it be awkward or weird. Now,
like Mang0 turned Berio into Didio. Like, what are we talking about here?
Luckily I talked to everyone. Everyone seems good. It was more like, hey, it was weird. It was uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there. So I think Master Baker still gonna be good. That shit's happening at 3 today. So still doing that. Still probably gonna go to Adapts after and watch the NBA finals. But that was a big T. What happened? There's a bunch of clips But the short of it
Was
is
this a good thing for the 11-month resubscription?
Mang0 was just harassing a bunch of people at the event. And it wasn't like,
Final draft? I didn't even know what was happening.
I mean, you could see the clips. It wasn't like with people he is familiar enough, like with a rapport to do that. You know what I'm saying? It is a tough watch. There's a reason I'm not watching it. It's not a fun watch. I've seen them. It's a ooh. So you guys can, you know, it's out there. It's easy to find. It's a hard watch for sure.
I think honestly the chat isn't good reflective of what the focus on here. They are people fishing for attention, and I don't add anything good to the conversation in my opinion. No, I think the chat is indicative of the audience you've crafted, right? Depending on what they're saying, what they choose to focus on to a certain extent. Not like, I don't think it's the main focus. And the reason why I'm focusing on the chat is because I think Ludwig's statement here is fine. Right? Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's overall, I think it's a solid way to address the situation. I still think it should have been more direct. Like, I think instead of calling it harassment, calling it sexual harassment is an important thing to note. It's an important distinction. I think, again, we're not done with this entire conversation yet, but I think calling out the fact why he didn't act sooner is important, right? And why nobody at the event acted to stop it from getting to the point in the first place. Because if it was one clip, it would be one thing, but it's like there's a compilation. Now it seems like he's insinuating it's overblown. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think he's insinuating that it's overblown, right? I think he's taking it seriously, but I think he's still trying to PR it a little bit. That's my perspective. I think he's still trying to PR it. I think he's trying to, I think he's neutering the, what it actually was, which was at minimum, we said harassment that's serious. There's a difference between harassment and sexual harassment. First, like, come on, you have to acknowledge that, chatter. Right? There is a difference between harassment and sexual harassment. And I think calling it what it is, right, is important. I think that there's a reason why he's not using the sexual harassment term. That term is a lot more icky than harassment. Him thrusting his wife at sexual harassment. I mean, there's no question that it's sexual harassment. I think it gets to the point of being sexual assault, which is why I said at minimum, it's sexual harassment. You know, I don't think that Ludwig called it sexual harassment, right? So that's my perspective. I think that one, the statement is solid. It's definitely better than we've seen in the streaming landscape previously, but I think Ludwig should have called it like it actually was, which is sexual harassment at minimum. And two, again, we're not done with watching this yet. I think he continues talking about it, but he should also talk about what he, as the event organizer, and what he, as a person in the room, should have done differently in the situation. That's what I think. That's what I want from a statement addressing what happened. He already fulfilled the third thing, which is what he's going to do in the future. Mang0's not invited back, but he's missing those first two things, in my personal opinion.
And then I guess, you know, some people I see are like, oh, well, why'd you even invite him in the first place? This is our third Berio Kart event. You know, like, we've done this twice before with Mang0 both times. And it wasn't a problem. So that was my expectation.
I don't think a dream competition should be an event, like, at all. I won't go as far as to say that.
And I only think I was actually there for like one interaction with Emily, where Mang0 was like being in my thought in the moment too touchy, so I put a stop to that. But I didn't really like, you know, I was too locked in, I think, on like running the event, commentating, playing, to like keep track of that. And, you know, this is also,
I don't fully agree. Not the idea that he didn't know specifically, but like the idea that he should have known. Right? He has a team. Like, the event is run by a team. There's staff walking around. and it's still his event, right? At a certain point, it transitions from being like ignorant to like, you should have known. Someone should have told him, right? And maybe that's a conversation that he should have with his team, but it's something that he should be negligent. Thank you. But like there was a breakdown from the event staff communicating that people at his event were uncomfortable to him being the person who runs the event, and he has to hold that.
It's not the best idea to have someone with substance abuse problems participate. Again, Mang0's participated in 2 other Berio Kart events. This ain't the first one. Like we've done it. Like I have something to go off of. So I think what you're saying.
Okay, I think this is actually the worst part of the response, in my perspective. Right. This might be the worst part of the response, because in the clips that we see where Mang0 is sexually harassing people, you have like people at the event being like, oh, this is just normal Mang0. I've seen Mang0 way more drunk than this. So it's not that like people did not know Mang0 had a problem. It's not that people did not know that Mang0 had an issue with abusing alcohol, right? Or getting crazy drunk while on alcohol, like doing insane things. It was being memed about here.
Bro, Mang0, give Mang0 water. Look at this motherfucker.
I gave him the beer. Yep. Let him know, bro. Let him know.
Dude,
Can we zoom in on that?
Stan is the worst person.
No. I've seen Mang0 10 times drunker than this. That's right. That is
He said, I've seen Mang0 10 times drunker than this, and people are like, yeah, that's right.
Very true.
He's like, yeah, that's true. So it's not like people didn't know. It's not like people didn't know, right? And this is disappointing to me, because like, I'm a fan of these creators, right? I like Stans. I like Ludwig. But this is indicative of a wider problem, and this keeps happening in this space because people let this shit slide. This isn't unique to the streaming landscape. This is frat boy culture. But like when you have frat boy culture on camera, right? You put the people who are like in these events, right, in harm's way, right? And honestly, like, this is like, I don't want to say this is worse. This is a different kind of bad. Like, the thing about frat boy culture is you bring in like, 18, 19, sometimes 17, because these frat boys are disgusting, year old, children essentially, around these like 20-something-year-old men, and they're doing shit like this around these like freaking 16, 17, 18-year-olds. But like, these are accomplished women in the landscape. These are pioneers of content in the land. These women have a larger following than all these other f***ers in this room. Extra Emily, Senna, Maya pulls in more numbers than everybody else in this room, basically. And they're getting treated like dog shit. Dog shit. And for some reason, we know the reason, for some reason, nobody is speaking up on their behalf. Is that not weird? Right? Very clearly uncomfortable with what's going on here. And they're just standing around letting that shit happen. It's not like there are nobodies. Some of the most accomplished people, not women, fucking people in the space. And these people let that shit happen. That's so fucking gross. It's so gross. And nobody's gonna say shit about it for the most part, because something that I describe all the time, and that's the thin purple line. Nobody wants to speak up and put themselves at risk to speak on the behalf of the people who are harmed in these situations. People don't want to do it in real life, and they definitely don't want to do that shit in the streaming landscape. And this is what people always talk about when it comes to these spaces, and that it feels like a fucking boys club. And this is a perfect example of that. But how way too believable and expected this is. Men allow this shit around them all the time. Yeah, all the time. And this is a problem, right? Because I guarantee that if any of these men did speak up in this moment, the chat would be calling them a pussy. And because they know that's the case, a lot of times they don't do it because they don't want that response. Like if you are at a frat house and you see your frat bro over there getting handsy on what could very well be a child, which happens all the time, by the way, at frat houses, right? If you could be like, yo, bro, get off her. Like, first of all, you don't know how old she is. Second of all, she don't want you on her like that, right? Yeah, you either get called a simp or you get called a buzzkill or a number of different things. Like that's how you were described. And so a lot of men don't want to be perceived like that because they put a lot of stock in how other men view them, right? And so they oftentimes don't say shit and they just let it rock. They just let it happen, right? To keep their standing in the men hierarchy. The boys hump each other all the time, locker room play. And I also have a take on this because I want to talk about this as well, right? This is what the patriarchy does. This is how the patriarchy also harms men, right? Men are also groomed by the patriarchy to think that that's okay. Like locker room play is not okay. It's not. But men are also groomed by the patriarchy the same way, whether they're groomed to enact the patriarchy, to think that that's okay. Men go humping on other men without consent. It's still bad, right? But you can't say it's bad unless you're seen as like, not a man, because it's seen as like man behavior. If you've ever been to a high school locker room, people say shit like this. They act like you're the weird one for not wanting your consent violated. Seeing the clips is so uncomfortable because it did feel like a high school party where it was all normalized. Now looking back on it, I'm like, did anybody think this was okay? I think this is the current push to teach kids to understand consent is very important. It doesn't fix it, but it's a step. Yeah. First, there's multiple. Yes. There are multiple statements. I believe there's two. Because this first one sucked. It wasn't good. Wait, no, sorry. There's 3 statements, apparently. There's a new one that came out an hour ago. He made one statement 1 day ago, one statement 20 hours ago, one statement 1 hour ago, apparently. Here. This is what the first statement was. Yeah, 3rd time's the charm, I guess. Hate waking up and seeing I was a drunk dumbass. Don't like using the drunk excuse because it's childish, but in the moment, I think everyone is as drunk as me, and that's usually not the case. I will privately apologize to anyone I made uncomfortable and hope I'm forgiven. Isn't he 30 plus? I genuinely don't know, honestly, maybe. The statement's not good, right? It's bad. It's just like, yo, I was drunk, and in the moment, I thought everybody was drunk. Like, 1, being drunk does not excuse sexual harassment. 2, being drunk with other drunk people also does not excuse sexual harassment. That's just not the case. If in your response to backlash, you say anything about an excuse not excusing it, just delete the part and take accountability. Yeah. The second statement was this. I feel very fucking stupid and embarrassed to think like 99% of my problems always stem from drinking, so I'm going to reevaluate my relationship with alcohol. I'm not downplaying anything. I know I'm dumb and know better. I will accept any consequences that come my way. Okay. It's just like the same thing as Cheddar said. It's just like, man, look what the alcohol made me do. I mean, it's not a good response, but I think if he was thoughtful and articulate, he wouldn't be in a position to begin with. I see he's trying to make amends. But like, in order to do that, you have to acknowledge what you've done. And I will say, reach out to people before your public apology. People should not find out you're apologizing on Twitter, right? Like, if I were to change just like one thing about the apology, instead of saying I will privately apologize to anyone I made uncomfortable, say I have already apologized to people who I've wronged in the first place. But this is the only apology number 2 here. This is apology number 3. Couldn't sleep, feel like I let so many people down, talked to a few friends and realized I have a problem. Everyone has called on me for so long and kind of looked the other way when it came to my drinking. Don't want anyone to feel bad for me / defend me. Sorry to everyone I've let down or hurt. I know it's just looks like I'm trying to save face, but I genuinely feel awful about it. All I've done is reflect on my life, and I realize I'm a broken human. I will try to redeem myself over a time and always do. Wait, I will try to redeem myself over time as I always do. Gonna stop drinking immediately and get it together. Sorry, I'm a bug up and I will and can do better. If you get it, I have a drinking problem. I think it's good to acknowledge. The main problem I see with all 3 of these statements is I think acknowledge that he did wrong. It's still good. I think it's still a good thing. But it still kind of centers himself in the apology. And all good apologies don't center the perpetrator, but instead the victim, right? And so I don't want to spend too much time being like, aha, your apologies suck, Mang0 or whatever, because I don't think it's productive. But I wish there was still more of a focus on this is how I'm going to make right by the victim, as opposed to being like, I have a problem. I always bounce back though. I'm going to be better. I need to stop my drinking. Me. Right? Because this isn't about Mang0. This is deeper. This entire situation is deeper than Mang0. right? Mang0 is like the biggest piece of the pie, but still only a piece of that pie, right? It's about how the victims were treated and why nobody did anything to stop it. My conclusion is I think you should support the victims in whatever avenue that they choose. And I hope, like genuinely, I hope this message gets through to all of the men in that room, in that you have a responsibility, right? And maybe it sucks. Maybe you don't want to have that responsibility. You have a responsibility when you are in this space, right? To say something, right? You have a responsibility to speak for people who feel like they can't, right? And all too often do women feel like they can't have a take, they can't express their discomfort with something, right? Because of how they'll be viewed by society at large. And understanding that and acknowledging that, right? And standing alongside them so that they don't even have to say something. They shouldn't have to say something, right? Especially with your friends, right? Your friends. This doesn't just stop at Mang0 and this being on stream. In your day-to-day life, with your friend group, right? Because there are a lot of rapists out there, right? And there are even more friends of rapists, and not everybody cannot know, right? Take a step out and stand for something.